from his upcoming bout against Manny Pacquiao. We'll give you the latest from Team Pacquiao's fight camp and his new opponent, WBA welterweight champ Yordenis Ugas. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. The first and only professional volleyball league in the country continues to serve us with hard-hitting Filipina greatness in the first day of the Premier Volleyball League Finals. To help us break down the first finals match and the first bronze match in the inaugural pro season of the league, UAP Season 82 Volleyball Control Committee President and PVL Analyst and UP Fight, Noreen Go. Hi, Ma'am Noreen. Welcome.
Hello.
Always an honor to have a fellow UP Fight person here with us today. Okay.
Really, UP
Yeah, UP Fight. Kailangan talaga ipakita yan. So jumping right to it, the bronze match a while ago, I would say a lot of people thought it would be closer than expected, a little bit tighter between Choco Mucho and Petrogas Angels. How did you think Petrogas did come on top in that match?
I'd like to tell a short story now. I saw a lot of post-game online posts, no? Post-game of both matches, like the Cherry Tigo versus Choco Mucho and the Petrogas versus Creamline. And I'd like to say, when you see the reaction of all four teams, you can feel it as a spectator that it's emotionally and physically draining. So that's the story behind it coming into the semifinals, no? And into the finals, actually, battle for bronze, battle for gold. And you can see tiredness. You know, you can see for Choco Mucho, they brought that emotions. For Petrogas, they had a day to rest. You know,
Exactly.
to shrug it off, to shake it off. And I think that made a lot of difference in the match today.
And you can see naman medyo mas energized talaga itong
Yeah.
Petrogas Angels, especially in that first set where they completely dominated the Choco Mucho Flying Titans. Now, who would you say, Noreen? It's nice to see you here in this setting. Bago to.
Conversations.
Now, who do you say from the Petrogas Angels really stood out for you in that game?
I would say Chisaet. Chisaet really showed us why she's there, no? Through the years, veteran setter of Petrogas. She just controlled the tempo of the game. She kept everyone at ease all the time, and they're just playing their game, setting it, you know, to Meneses, Molina, you know, all these players, Maala Pablo. So the players just played well, easy, and they took advantage of the slow start of Choco Mucho.
I mean, Choco Mucho, you did mention the fatigue. I mean, it's their fourth consecutive game today. They have another one tomorrow. A lot of people are talking about and focusing on that. But, you know, given the fatigue, I myself as an athlete know how hard it is to play 4 consecutive games. But what do you think they need to do for tomorrow's game? What do they need to adjust for them to compete and win in their game tomorrow?
Well, obviously, first they have to shrug it off. You know, whatever happened in the past, it's play for today, the game at hand, the game today. Still, I always say, a podium finish is always better than fourth.
Exactly.
Because it really defines, at least you can show your fans, okay, we're bronze medalists and fourth place, right? So you just have to, for me, focus really and forget about the injury.
Right.
We
That
wanted
happened
to
in
mention.
Injury, yeah.
In the fourth set, Maddie Madayago was gonna go for a quick attack, and then she fell down and hurt her left knee, if I'm not mistaken. What can you say about that? How did that change the morale of the Choco Mucho Flying Titans? Because they won that third set already, and that momentum was on their side.
Yeah, I mean, good you said that, because after the first 2 sets, we thought it would go just in 3, no? But they fought back, they played well. Pongay Gaston, brilliant. And then fourth set, they were on their way, but yeah, you know, that's painful really always as fans, even as we call ourselves fans, to see an injured person who's part of the first 6, a very integral part of this Choco Mucho offense. Obviously, it bothered them the way they played. But again, going into tomorrow's game, as Jet asked, they have to forget it. I mean, you have other players that can step up, and hopefully for Choco Mucho, at least make it a better start, and hopefully a good game, and hopefully maybe a game 3.
Let's go through this a little quick. A little update. I think now it's the finals.
Okay.
between
May
Creamline
sinisilip
and
si
Cherry.
Jet
Of course,
dyan
it's the second set. Creamline is up 1-0, and it's 16-15 for Cherry in the second set. What do you know, a little bit of insight right now on how you think this will turn out?
You know, I was actually going through some numbers earlier on the matches, previous matches of both teams. They're actually pretty even. You know, I mean, I can't even make an intelligent guess, because that's how even. You want to look at offense at first, diba? You see the strengths, the weakness. Then you look at the defense. But defense-wise, they're averaging the same. Receptions, sets, digs, even their attack. So it's all going to boil down for me. Who serves better, one, and two, it's for me, it's how they when they face their opponent, how are they going to forget about the past and focus on today? How am I going to beat? What's your weakness today? Because it's an ongoing chess match. What is your weakness today? And we have to make the adjustments. And who does that first actually will prevail.
That's interesting. And we're all excited to see the results of this finals matchup right now. And of course, the bronze coming up tomorrow. And thank you, Ms. Noreen,
Yes,
for joining
thank
us
you.
tonight. Always appreciate it.
Thank you, Miss Noreen.
Thank you.
Di pa pala. So, di pa pala.
Joke lang
akala ko
yun.
papanoorin
Wait,
natin
joke
yung
lang
game.
yun,
Oo.
syempre. Of course, we're gonna ask you also about the finals game that's ongoing right now. We have the Creamline Cool Smashers and of course the Cherry Tigo crossover. Sa tingin mo of course we can't really watch the game. Meron tayong kodigong maliit dito. But who do you think should step up in this game? Who do you think should, be that key player for both teams? Let's start with the Creamline Cool Smashers.
For me, Gemma Galanza. For me,
Sagot
Gemma
ang
Galanza.
bilis ng sagot.
I thought about it na rin because, of course, we're watching it also, no? For me, Eliza Valdez will always be Eliza Valdez, and so will Tots Carlos, obviously. So the third person is very important as to make the offense flow, as to keep the opponent guessing.
Right.
So Gemma Galanza has got to put in those numbers, at least 12, at least.
At least, for Cherry Tigo, sino naman? Let's ibahin natin ng konti. Minus mo si Jaja Santiago and si Dindin Santiago Manabat. Who is your key player that has to show up in the final series?
I have an automatic answer.
Ang bilis talaga.
Ready.
Alam mo, ang bilis mo talaga
Ready si Ms.
mag-isip.
Noreen eh. Ready si Ms. Noreen.
Because I watch the games
Okay.
No, Mylene Paat. Mylene Paat, same thing as Galanza. The third player is going to be very important. And everybody knows Mylene Paat is a very talented person. She's also part of the national team. She played well internationally. So we saw some struggles in terms of confidence in this tournament. So you want to see her step up because if she does, Cherry Tigo is going to be a really tough team to beat.
In this type of course, I'm gonna go back to the fatigues, continuous games like day after day. Is the bench crucial for any team? Is it more important for maybe a bench player for either team to perform better, especially in the finals?
Well, so far, the trend for these teams, they put in one or two substitution, 3 at the most for serving. It's always 1 or 2 off the bench. So when you talk about bench, yes, of course, the 7th man. For volleyball, it's the 7th man.
For volleyball, okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be important. Not too much of the 8th, 9th, but the 7th person is really important because it will give, let's say somebody's not playing their game or you want somebody to rest, you put in somebody to lift the team up. So, yeah, the 7th man is important.
All right, thank you so much for joining us.
For
It was such a
real?
pleasure.
For real, thank you.
For real,
na, thank
this
you.
time.
Thank you so much for joining us
Love all
tonight,
the
Mr.
insights as always. Thank you again, Noreen. Now, after the break, our PVL correspondent, Aitan Sai, will bring us behind the scenes of the PVL semifinals in our latest edition of Bubble Invasion. Stay tuned, you're watching The Game. Welcome back to The Game. Alongside Jet Manuel, I'm Billy Capistrano, and we are in the home stretch of the Premier Volleyball League, but it's never too late to see some behind-the-scenes footage of the semifinals action in Bacara, Ilocos Norte. Our PVL correspondent, Aitan Sai, takes us inside the PCV Social, Civic, and Cultural Center in this latest edition of Bubble Invasion.
Hello, what's up PBL fans? Welcome to the Ilocos Bubble Invasion. Tara na, ano pa bang hinihintay natin? Mangulit tayo ng mga players and coaches. Dali, pakita ko sa inyo!
So, syempre gusto kong i-introduce sa inyo ang aming top 4 teams na talaga namang nakaabot sa semifinals at lumalaban papuntang finals. Kita mo lahat ng fatigue nila, lahat ng pinaghirapan nila, lahat ng sacrifices nila just to get where they are today. Dali, chikahin na nga talaga natin.
Mag-hi sa akin yung pinakamagandang volleyball player na kilala ko.
Wow!
I'm so flattered!
Weh! Yung pinakamagandang courtside reporter na nakita ko.
Grabe yan!
The Titan Pride. No, we will just have the positive mindset.
Ayun.
No matter what. Thank you.
We're taking it one game at a time. Hopefully, makakamit namin yung championship. But, ayun nga, one game at a time muna kami and mag-focus muna kami sa press. Chocomucho Flying Titans!
Here with me is Jaja Santiago. Ate Ja, ano yung pwedeng abangan ng fans ngayong papalapit yung semifinals at syempre malapit na rin ang finals?
Siguro abangan nila sa Semifinals is more palaban sa loob ng court. Saka siyempre, yung goal naman ng team namin is, kumbaga, one step at a time, one game at a time. Pero, nandun yung goal namin to get the championship title. So, every move na gagawin namin, talagang lalagyan namin ng puso at heart.
Continuously training for a healthy and strong team. Second, we just continue in investing in our physical conditioning and studying our opponent.
Maraming salamat po sa games niyo.
Thank you.
Ayan, nandun si Ate din.
Basta ngayon, may game pa kami, Chocomucho, so support nyo ang charity go. And syempre, looking forward kami sa semis. And basta, every game, championship, support charity go.
Yay! Thank you! Ano ma-expect ng fans niyo sa inyo?
Unang-una, syempre, thank you muna sa pag-support palagi. And kung wala sila, syempre, hindi kami magpupush pa ng sobra. Ayun, sila yung nagiging inspirasyon namin. Saka bibigyan namin sila palagi ng magandang laban.
Ayun! Sama ko si Ate Ganda. Sabi na siya. May mga TikTok ko ah. Wala. Saka Ate Jessie nagsistretching. Yan sila Ate Kat. Oh, taas ng rank ko sa stats oh. Ayan, si Ate. Ayan, si Ria. Ate Jessie katabi niya.
Yung babalak sa siguro medyo yung time na yun, medyo nakakamiss na sa family kasi matagal na. Pero still fighting pa rin kasi kailangan namin to. Ito yung responsibility namin para sa team.
Yes. Kayo ni Ate Jessie, yun yung mga favorite niyo moment sa bubble?
Zumba.
Ito kayo mag-zumba. Umaya ako kita ng sample ah. Thank you!
One game at a time. So, last 3 games namin, crucial with us para makatuto sa semi. So, one game at a time kung ano yung mga kulang namin every day. Yun yung wina-workout namin. And yan, usap lang with the players para mas maklear yung mga kailangan iklaro sa pagdating sa game plan. Pag-sakripisya lang talaga, sinasabi ko, less than a month, makakauwi na. But tapusin mo natin ang makakauwi.
Tama, less than a month na lang. Yan. Maraming salamat, Coach Arnold of the Petrayan Angels. sa likod ko ang cool smashers na nagko-cool down. Charot, nag-warm up sila.
Hi, Mama!
Hi, Mega! I made it!
Hi, Angel!
Andito na. Well, pero namin na, syempre, we're really happy with how we played today, pero a lot of room for improvement. Marami pa rin pwedeng mangyari kasi all the teams are really working so hard for this tournament. So, yeah, we're just going to go back to training and keep at it talaga.
Yes! Grabe yung chaos kasi sigaw kayo ng sigaw kanina.
Ako rin eh.
Talagang naano na dun sa fans. Say hi to your fans.
Hi, fans! And thank you for watching. See you soon!
Hello! Thank you so much for watching our games and madami pang games, di ba? Exciting games.
Yes, thank you.
Bye! Yun lang naman po ang aking vlog. Gusto ko lang po magpasalamat sa lahat po nagsusuporta sa ating mga teams at binubuhos ang lahat para talaga mapasaya kayo mga fans. Kaya see you! And talagang we're waiting for your support. Mga sigaw nyo mula sa mga bahay nyo kasi maririnig yun dito sa Ilocos Norte. Bye!
That was Aitin Sai for this week's edition of Bubble Invasion. And Billy, you know, we saw bibong-bibong with the top 4 teams, of course, there in Ilocos Norte. But aside from the top 4 teams, we also have to commend,
Definitely.
all the other teams that competed in this tournament.
I know you're an athlete also, Jet. You know the feeling of being away from your family. And prior to coming into this PVL bubble, syempre may mga sari-sariling bubble din sila, diba? So it's been a long time since they've actually got to spend time with their loved ones safely, of course. So syempre madaming sacrifices, not just for the teams, but for the coaching staff as well. So we gotta commend all the 10 teams who participated here in the PVL.
Definitely. And everyone who organized and helped out to prepare this for, of course, us the fans that can
Yes.
view. So after the break, as Errol Spence Jr. withdraws from his upcoming main event bout against Manny Pacquiao, we get the latest update from the title card and the Fighting Senators training camp. Stay tuned, you're watching the game. And welcome back to the game. Big news coming from the boxing world as WBC and IBF welterweight world champion Errol Spence Jr. has announced that he is withdrawing from his upcoming bout against Manny Pacquiao. In a post on his social media, Spence shared that doctors found a torn retina in his left eye during pre-fight examination, which prompted the withdrawal. The 8th Division World Champion Manny Pacquiao was quick to share his well wishes as he continues to train at the Wild Card Boxing Club at Los Angeles. And joining us now is to discuss the latest on the Pac-Man's upcoming campaign main event on August 21 is our correspondent, Carlo Pamintuan. Carlo, good evening.
Good evening, Jet. Good evening, Billy.
Hello.
Always
Nice to meet you, Carlo.
First meeting through Zoom.
Yes.
The new normal. So, okay, so Carlo, obviously, it's unfortunate that both camps now have, for both fight camps now, before we get to Senator Pacquiao's new opponent, maybe you can tell us more a little bit on the details of Spence's injury, maybe recovery time or severity of that.
Usually, it would take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to recover from a retina injury, no? But as we know, the fight was scheduled for August 21 in the US, so it won't be enough time for him to recover after the procedure that they will do on his eye in the coming days. Pero yung maganda lang dito kay Errol Spence is he survived a car crash. He survived injuries worse than an injured retina. So alam natin that he will be able to bounce back strong. After life-threatening injuries, he was able to go back into his boxing career, score a unanimous decision victory against Danny Garcia. So this is a tough kid. And maybe somewhere down the line, a matchup against Manny Pacquiao can happen. It's unfortunate that it doesn't happen for him now. It's unfortunate for everyone, really, except for Yordenis Ugas, who just so happened to be there in the undercard, and now he will have the opportunity to fight Pacquiao and claim what could be the biggest win of his entire boxing career.
Alright, jumping off doon sa sinabi mo, no, Carlo, Pacman, sabi mo nga, is set to face a replacement opponent. We know him as a WBA welterweight champion, Yordenis Ugas. So, can you please tell us more about him, his background, probably, the awards that he's won in the past?
Well, all you have to know is that he is Cuban. And by saying that, ang dami nang pwedeng malaman, diba? Cubans are stylists. He is 2005 lightweight champion in the World Amateur Boxing Championship. So matangkad itong si Yordenis Ugas. He is 5'9", the same as Errol Spence actually. But he relies on his reach, on his height, much more than Errol Spence does. Why do I say that? Because he banks on his jab. Yung kanyang left jab is very powerful. He can go to the body, he can go to the head. He will use that as one of his primary weapons to try and keep Manny Pacquiao away from him. It's a rather interesting story of how he was able to win the WBA Super Welterweight Championship. But it's something that needs a lot of time to discuss because the WBA currently has four champions in the welterweight division. They have a super champion, they have a regular champion, they have Manny Pacquiao, their champion in recess, and then they have a gold champion. It's all rather confusing, but the thing is, he will be coming into this matchup as the defending champion, and Manny Pacquiao is the challenger. So, I know, you give that what you may take from it. But still, Pacquiao should be a heavy favorite heading into this matchup against the younger Ugas.
I mean, we've touched on it, Carlo, but all this time, Manny has been preparing for Spence. Will this training now, I mean, it's such a short time, but will his training or strategy change now that he's coming up against a different opponent?
Oh, for sure, 100%. The reason is Spence is a southpaw. And when you're a southpaw training for a southpaw, everything is mirrored. Diba? And then you now try to forget all of the game plan, lahat ng binuhos mo na preparations, breaking down the tape, trying to see yung mga tendencies nitong si Errol Spence. All of that goes out the window now as you start preparing for an orthodox fighter whose style is so different from Errol Spence as well. Again, Ugas is a stylist. He likes staying on the outside. He likes popping you with the jab, hitting you with the lead right. So, ang dami ng adjustments na kailangang i-rush nitong camp ni Manny Pacquiao. But, he has able people around him. Of course, Freddie Roach, Buboy Fernandez, Marvin Somodio, the assistant trainer of Freddie Roach is also there helping out. So, kaya naman in terms of turning things around and preparing for a new opponent. Kaya naman. They have enough time to do it. And I'm sure there will be no excuses come fight night between the two fighters.
All right, thank you so much, Carlo. Now, last question. Why should we all be excited for this matchup?
We should have been more excited about the fight between Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence because, to be honest, in the few remaining fights of Manny Pacquiao in his boxing career, konti na lang yung mga pwede niya talagang labanan that could add on to his legacy because he has done everything that there is to accomplish in boxing, especially in the welterweight division. There are only two names that are deserving of a spot inside the ring with him, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. He would have gotten that out of the way by taking on Errol Spence, an undefeated fighter, unified world champion. The winner of that matchup would have been the lineal Ring Magazine champion. So all of these things were going for Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence into that matchup. I don't think there is anything to be gained legacy-wise for Pacquiao if he defeats Yordenis Ugas, because this is a distinct step up in terms of level para kay Ugas. The only name of worth in his entire career was Sean Porter in 2019, who was a sparring partner ni Manny Pacquiao, and he lost that match. So in terms of just what happened now, sobrang swerte ni Yordenis Ugas, para siyang tumama sa loto sa swerte kasi hindi ito dapat sa kanya. He knows this wasn't supposed to be for him, but now he will get the biggest opportunity of his life. Does this mean that Pacquiao would steamroll him? Of course not. Ugas has an opportunity to shock the world, and that is why he is very lucky to be in this situation.
Thank you, Carlo. We're all excited for this matchup. We're all going to tune in. So thank you, Carlo Pamintuan, for joining us tonight. In the meantime, we're back with some One Championship action this Friday. Nagbabalik ang nag-iisang Edward Landslide Folayang sa Octagon para labanan ng rising Chinese martial artist na si Zhang Li Peng. Resbakbaka na sa One Battleground 2. Panoorin ang maiinit na laban ngayong August 13, Biyernes, 9 p.m. sa One Sports.
Thank you for joining us. My name is Billy Capistrano.
And catch us weeknights here on One News, One Sports, and One Sports Plus. I'm Jet Manuel, and this has been The Game.